What's up everyone, my name is Trevor and I am the Gaming Goomba. Now I don't know if you guys have really noticed, but I haven't really been covering current Nintendo news on this channel lately. My last couple of videos have been covering things like Virtual Console, Club Nintendo, and the Nintendo 64. This is mainly due to how unpredictable Nintendo has been lately. I wrote an entire script for a video a few weeks back, and then the Direct Mini Partner Showcase happened and threw a wrench into my entire video. And honestly, I enjoy making content about things I remember fondly from my childhood, rather than just trying to stay topical all the time. So I really hope you all have been enjoying the change in content recently as much as I have. And with that being said, I really like the Game Boy SP. Honestly, I don't know how I've made it this long without talking about the Game Boy Advance SP. This thing was a staple of my childhood. Every single kid in my neighborhood had one, and I have tons of fond memories with multiple games. But before I ramble on and on about all my memories and nostalgia with this thing, let's take a look back at the build-up and eventual release of this revolutionary portable console. The original Game Boy was released in the summer of 1989, and it was a smash hit. Games like Super Mario Land and Tetris had people buzzing. Up to this point, the most popular mainstream portable gaming devices we had were the Nintendo Game & Watch series. While some of them were fun time wasters, they never came close to replicating home console games on the go. They were basically over-glorified calculators. When the Game Boy released and people realized they could play full-fledged Mario games on the go, people were excited to say the least. However, it didn't take long for people to start itching for a little more. While the games were fun, they were a pain to play. If you weren't holding the system at the perfect angle, it was nearly impossible to see the screen. Of course, third-party companies sold light accessories out the wazoo, but they never really helped all that much. It didn't take long for the competition to fix Nintendo's problem themselves. A little over a year later, Sega released the Sega Game Gear. Would you look at that? A backlit screen, and it's in color! While the Game Gear was criticized for its size and battery life, it at least showed that an easier way of gaming on the go wasn't too far off. So how long did it take Nintendo to answer the Sega Game Gear? Well, short answer, they didn't. But I don't really blame Nintendo. The Game Boy continued to sell extremely well, and the Game Gear didn't even come close. There was no reason to answer the Game Gear. The only real revision we got, in North America anyways, was the Game Boy Pocket in 1996, which did decrease the size dramatically and only required 2 AA batteries rather than 4, but it still didn't have a backlit screen. Nintendo did, however, finally release the next generation of Game Boy in 1998 with the Game Boy Color, and I'm sure you're all wondering, yes, it was in color, but still had no backlit screen. I think people were a little confused with the Game Boy Color. The technology was more than there at the time to implement a backlit screen. Hell, in the same year, Nintendo released a Game Boy Light in Japan which did have a backlit screen. Other than trying to keep costs down, I don't see much of a reason for not giving the Game Boy Color a backlit screen. It's what the people wanted, and it just made sense. Finally, in 2001, Nintendo released the Game Boy Advance, and son of a bitch, it still didn't have a backlit screen. Why, Nintendo? The Game Boy Light was released in Japan 3 years before the Game Boy Advance, and yet you had the balls to put the word Advance in the name of this console and not give it a backlit screen. What is wrong with you, Nintendo? Finally, 2 years later, Nintendo released the Game Boy Advance SP, a remodel of the Game Boy Advance. Not only did it have a revolutionary clamshell design and a rechargeable battery, but it also had a backlit screen. Nintendo, I love you. And this is where we catch up with young 5-year-old Trevor. Up to this point, I had an ugly green Game Boy Pocket and the original Game Boy Advance model, so it didn't take long for the Game Boy Advance SP to catch my eye. But at this time, it was only known as the coveted opening and closing Game Boy. From the moment I laid eyes on the opening and closing Game Boy, I considered my other Game Boys baby's toys. My brother's friends would come over flaunting them and I would envy them. It was just so cool, so futuristic. My older brother got the Game Boy SP before me, and boy, did it really hit home how badly I needed a Game Boy SP when we went on family vacations. As I watched the sun go down, I would try to squeeze every little bit of playtime out of my Game Boy Advance until I couldn't see the screen anymore. Eventually, I would have to admit defeat and turn my game off. Then, I would hear the music of Pokemon Ruby and a light illuminating from the back seat behind me. It was my older brother, still able to enjoy his Game Boy. It just wasn't fair. Finally, one Christmas morning, Santa left the best possible gift. It was a blue Game Boy Advance P with Super Mario World. It was a dream come true! I could finally play whatever game I wanted, whenever I wanted, wherever I wanted, no restrictions. Until I lost it in the girls' bathroom of Walmart and I had to wait until the next Christmas to get another one, but I told that story in another video. I loved the crap out of this thing, man. It was so cool. I could just spend hours opening and closing it. It was that satisfying. I couldn't even begin to fathom how many hours I must have clocked in on this thing. Games like Mario Kart Super Circuit, Super Mario World, and Jimmy Neutron. Okay, maybe not that one. But the one game series that kept me hooked, the one game series that my entire neighborhood played, it was Pokemon. I don't know how Nintendo was able to get 5-year-old me into RPGs. Hell, I don't even really like RPGs right now, but they did it. Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Fire Red were my go-tos. I could never put these games down. And trust me, when I say I could never put this thing down, I meant it. So one time I had to go to the bathroom, right? Most sensible kid would probably take the Game Boy, put it on the counter, do their business, get the Game Boy back off the counter, and continue playing Pokemon. Well, you see, I was on a much higher intellectual level than most kids. I wanted to get back to playing the game as quickly as possible. So obviously, the best place to put the Game Boy while using the restroom was under my neck. So, right, I'm holding it under my neck, I'm doing my business, and I wrap up, I go to zip my zipper, and I dropped my Game Boy in a toilet full of my own urine. So of course I fished it out and did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and put it in some rice, and it still worked. Yeah. Oh, and I can't forget about the link cable. Before wireless play was commonplace on every device, we had the Game Boy link cables. I remember when I was playing through Pokemon Ruby at the time and I had a Seviper. I was convinced this Pokemon was unstoppable. Every trainer I encountered, my Seviper destroyed their entire team. So of course, I decided to do some trash talking to one of the local 10-year-olds in the neighborhood. He challenged me to a battle, and so we broke out the link cables. I confidently throw out my Seviper, and he then proceeds to throw out a Rayquaza. He one-hit killed me, and my heart was broken. Eventually, the Game Boy brand was phased out when the Nintendo DS hit the scene, but we did get one more Game Boy model before its eventual demise, the Game Boy Micro. Yeah, this thing was tiny and couldn't play Game Boy Color or original Game Boy games, but man, this thing is so sleek looking. If I could ever find one for a reasonable price, I would definitely pick one up just for the novelty alone. As for the DS, I played a lot of it too. I had the original DS model and eventually upgraded to the Nintendo DSi. And I know that the DS library is a lot better and more diverse than the Game Boy Advance library, but for some reason, I continue to look back more fondly on my Game Boy Advance SP. Everywhere I went, my Game Boy SP never left my side. It got me through many car rides, bus rides, and just hard times in general. I got bullied on the school bus a lot as a kid, and sometimes escaping into my Game Boy was exactly what I needed to tune those kids out. I give a lot of credit to the Nintendo 64 for not only developing my love of Nintendo, but my love of video games in general. But today, I wanted to give this little guy the spotlight, because now that I think about it, the Game Boy Advance SP was just as integral to my childhood as the Nintendo 64 was. This thing got me through a lot of really hard times growing up, and I'll forever be thankful for it.